Hello chess friends and welcome to your Zad of Chess channel and welcome to really one of the most incredible chess games of the 21st century. We have here Daniil Dubov against Rasmus Svane back from 2019 in a sharp tactical battle in the Harrwitz Attack of the Queen's Game declined. And this game I think deserves to be really in the Hall of Fame of all chess games because there's so many dirty ideas you see now in this epic battle, and then the game will end with such an immortal, incredible king hunt which will also lead into forced checkmate sequence. Really incredible game, so pay good attention, put your seatbelts on, as I always like to say. In my opinion, really spectacular game here by these two top grandmasters. So here Daniil Dubov opened with the move c4. We have e6 by Rasmus Svane, so the game started as an English opening but basically transposed into the three knights variation of the Queen's Game decline. So after move bishop to e7, normal variation, we have now bishop to f4, the Harrwitz Attack, kingside castling, e3, and now we have now the Fianchetto variation of the Harrwitz Attack with the move b6. And usually you play here something like c takes d5, you undermine the center. Now knight to d5 can be an opportunity, knight takes d5, queen to d5. White will try somehow to kick away the queen from the center of the board, but of course it's I think also playable line for black. Black has good chances here on this stone long diagonal, so it's a very often and popular played line. But here, and after move b6, Daniil Dubov spiced it up with the move queen to c2. Nothing wrong so far. Here we have bishop to a6 by Rasmus Svane, keeping more pressure against the opponent c4. But now another really beautiful idea here by Daniil Dubov, queenside castling. And there are only two games in the database in this particular line that you see now. Daniil Dubov's game, of course, and there is now Bibisara Asubayeva against Peter Winkel, which ended in a draw. It was played in afterwards in 2020. So this was now sort of a theoretical novelty introduced to us here by Daniil Dubov. And of course, you are giving up now your pawn on c4, but what you gain as a compensation for the lost pawn is of course here the powerful central control. We have now the d5 pawn, but also here the e5 pawn, so the pawns could start to roll and of course could create some dynamics in the center of the board. Now knight to g5 played by Daniil Dubov, immediately targeting the h7 square. The main goal is somehow to deflect the knight from the square f6 and of course deliver checkmate. For instance, if you play h6 or something, then I think you could face this Fischer pole tactic, h4. Don't be surprised by this kind of an idea. This has been played many times, because after h takes g5, look at this, you have to even cover here this long diagonal, because if you move of course the knight here to h7, then you get checkmate in one. You have to cover like g6, you have to, then we take, then we play f3, g4 and queen to h2. The game is almost over here for black. Very wild stuff. So you have to be careful after this potential annoying moves by your knight when he occupies your center of the board. When you occupies your side of the board, this move h6 will probably met with this really incredible, beautiful Fischer pole tactic. But now Rasmus Svane makes a tiny little inaccuracy anyway. He plays knight to c6, which in many lines seems a good choice, because you're playing more aggressively, you're playing of course more actively, and you're trying of course to deliver an annoying attack against the queen with the move knight to b4. But a better way was simply to connect both of these knights, playing maybe even more solid chess, because probably again Dubov would have played h4. Again, you would maybe even try to kick away this knight, but then after e4, actually the Fischer pole tactic could not be so dangerous, because now you have access to the h7 square. Of course e5 will happen here, attacking now the knight, but now black can lock here simply the diagonal. Will also play maybe a rook to e8 and now knight to f8. The point about this move knight from b to d7 is to include a new defender into the game. When you play like Rasmus Svane did, knight to c6, it seems really like a more active move, but in my opinion it's not doing anything, because here Daniil Dubov saying you don't have access to the b4 square. Now your knight is simply far away from the defense of the king. But still nothing so far wrong in black's position. Black didn't make really crucial mistakes here, but as I said, knight from b to d7 maybe a more precise way to play the game. Now Rasmus Svane locks simply this annoying diagonal here on light squares. We have now h4 by Daniil Dubov, and now bishop to d6 by Rasmus Svane. And this was, I think, now really one of the most important mistakes in the game, because a better choice was to play knight to d5. Actually, knight to d5 is really tricky, because probably black would be challenged in this way, knight to h7, and it seems like a tempting idea, but actually black can defend this position. Black can even take out now the knight after h5. The only thing that you need to do is to compete on the h file after something like h takes g6. You simply get out of this mess, and now you have a good defense on the h file. No dangerous checks are possible. So in my opinion, a good line here for black. After move knight to h7, you don't have to even take out the knight. You can also play knight takes f4. This is, I think, a thing that Rasmus Svane missed, unfortunately, maybe in his preparation or somewhere, maybe in his tactical calculations here, because if you play knight to f8 now, you have this intermezzo, knight to d3 check. You take, of course, rook takes d3, but c takes d3 comes again with a threat against the queen, and now we pick up the knight and we would have an extra piece here on the board. Maybe white can sacrifice here the knight on e6 or something, but you get just one pawn, would take out the queen, you take out the knight again. It's a messed up game, I think, here for white. So in my opinion, Rasmus Svane missed his defensive chances with move knight to d5, although probably this move knight to h7 would happen, but it's nothing spectacular. Actually, it's defendable. So okay, after move here h4, as we said, Rasmus Svane played bishop to d6. Daniil Dubov opened now the diagonal for the light square bishop with move g3. Queen to e7 again, maybe not the best of reaction. Maybe bishop to b7 going for this diagonal, but after queen to e7, now Daniil Dubov plays a brilliant move h5, which breaks simply the whole king side. Now if you take, of course, here the pawn with your knight, then rook to h5 is the obvious tactical shot. G takes h5, queen to h7 is an amazing checkmate here by white. So after move h5 that Dubov played, we have now the move e5 by Rasmus Svane, and now we have amazing move h takes g6, first taking out here the pawn. If you take, of course, here the bishop on f4, then g7 is going to happen with the same problems. Rook to h7, queen to h7, again very important in problems here in black's position around the square h7. So here after move h takes g6 was played, so Rasmus Svane realized his problems on the h file. Now bishop to g2, here Daniil Dubov hits the knight, and now e takes f4 here by Rasmus Svane. And now maybe also tiny little inaccurate move here by Daniil Dubov. He took the knight, but actually look at this, after g takes f4, there's not so much that can be done here by black. If you play queen to d7, then we can't even play here bishop to c6. This is a line that, unfortunately, for the beauty of the game, Daniil Dubov missed. Look at this, queen to c6, f5, f3, queen to g2, queen to h3 or something. You can reopen the position in many ways. If you take here, the queen will come, maybe here again on h3. Again, you're probably getting destroyed around the square h7. So, in my opinion, already a winning idea here for white. But okay, after move e takes f4, here Daniil Dubov simply took bishop takes c6, and the problem for black is now that you cannot get with the rook out of the range of the light square bishop, because there is now a beautiful stunning tactical sequence, and I'm telling you about this tactical sequence because a similar problem will happen in the later stage of the game. So I think we have to solve now many positional and tactical problems now in this particular moment, because now after rook to d8, look at this, after g takes f4, there's not so much that can be done for now for black. The g file is opened, you're getting destroyed here on light squares, the bishop is coming into the game, this knight is coming into the game. You could maybe try with king to g7 to compete on the h file. That's the only defensive solution that I see now for black. But actually the main motif here is knight to d5. Look at this, knight to d5, but the point is we don't take out the knight. The most important attack is now again on the h file. We want to deflect, like in the beginning, you know, when we tried out this Fisher pole tactic, the same pattern happens now many times in the game, not of course in the same way, but the same problems are going on here in black's position. Look at this, after rook to h7, you have to of course tap back with the king, but now we play rook takes f7. After rook to h7, queen to g6 is coming into the game. If you cover now with your rook, bishop to d5 is coming, king to h8, rook to h1, the game is over here for black. You can cover rook to h7, queen to h7, queen to h7, checkmate. So you see, after bishop to c6, black cannot really get out of this mess by playing with the move with the rook somewhere. You have to play a different line, and here that's why Rasmus Svane realized his tactical problems on the h file, played the simple f takes g3. Now king to b1, a good move here by Daniil Dubov, because if he of course takes, then queen to e3 comes with a check. You have to step back, then maybe we can defend. The knight is attacked here on g5, so it's not a good line. King to b1 gets out of this potential queen to e3 move. So rook from a to d8. Now Rasmus Svane can get out of this mess, and now f4 here by Daniil Dubov, and this move actually allows here Rasmus Svane to get back into the game. Here, Daniil Dubov messed his whole attack up. We have to say it. A better choice was simply to play f takes g3. Look at this. Again, after king to g7, we can play e4. As I said also in the middle of our analysis, e4 is the main goal. The pawns are rolling. That's the beauty about this move d takes c4 that happened in the beginning. We deflected one pawn from the center in order to create our massive center. Here with these two mobile pawns. After e4, you could maybe try bishop to g3, but look at this now. This is such a bad position. You have to step back. e5 is going to happen. Look at this. You play something like this. We take out the knight. So if you step back here with the knight somewhere, if you play something like knight to g8, look at this. You get even a checkmate in one. Again, on the h file, of course. The h file is, of course, the main problem through the whole game. So very, very wild stuff. So after move rook from a to d8, as we said, Daniil Dubov tried f4, f5, but Rasmus Svane finally it seemingly really defended this position because he's not allowing the move now f5 by white. So what to do? Daniil Dubov is defending now first of all his pawn. Rasmus Svane is playing the good move, I think, here, king to g7. Finally competing now on the h file against this enormous pressure that Daniil Dubov created through the whole game. But now Daniil Dubov tried again the same pattern that we have seen a couple moves ago. Knight to d5 is actually again the stunning idea to deflect the knight from the h file. Rook to h7. Again, we have rook takes f7, but it's not the same pattern because now, as we said, the bishop is defending also the light square. So the whole tactical sequence that we saw previously is not working in this way. So if black now plays the game correctly, this game should end with a draw. Look at this. After rook to f7, rook takes f7, queen to g6, hits, of course, the rook. If you play rook to g7, this wouldn't be good because then bishop to d5 happens. You have to step back, and now with this one, you get even checkmated. Knight to h7, rook to h7, queen to g8, pardon me. Here is an amazing, stunning checkmate. So that's why after queen to g6, that's why king to f8 was played by Rasmus Svane. We have queen to h6. Now Daniil Dubov covers with rook to g7, and now bishop to d5. And the problem is now, again, what to do. The serious threat is, of course, here something like queen to h8. So you have to now make something. For instance, if you play here rook to e8 or something, then even knight to h7 is immediately a checkmate. But the only defensive move that black is here is the beginning that is a move that Rasmus Svane, I think, prepared in his defensive sequence here that he tried out, and it's the move bishop to f5. This is a must move now for Rasmus Svane. He has to play now this move, allow maybe even e4, but he has to create a path for the king in order to escape. King to d7 and then king to c8 is the only defensive move that you can play. But of course you cannot take. You lose the rook here on the e file, and then again new complications also for white. But after move bishop to d5, so see there are many checkmate threats that Daniil Dubov is preparing here, and here Rasmus Svane didn't react correctly. He played king to e8, allows now annoying checks here, queen to h5, king to d7, now a new check. Again, Rasmus Svane is trying to do perpetuals with king to e8, king to d7, a new check by Daniil Dubov, king to d7, and now bishop to e6, delivering a new check. So again, maybe Rasmus Svane has some opportunities to somehow to defend his position, but he has to actually sacrifice the queen. After queen to e6, knight to e6, king to e6, you get an annoying check f5, but now after check, we can push the pawn further. e4, e5 is going to happen. So I'm not sure really who would win this game. White has a massive pawn storm that's created here in the center of the board, has the queen, black's king is endangered. But also we have to say black has this annoying pawn on the g file, has also the amazing bishop here. If maybe black regroups, if black somehow gets the pieces back into the game, maybe it could not be working also for white here. So who knows what kind of a position this would be. But after move bishop to e6, we have now the move king to c6, and from this point on, put your seatbelts on and watch how Daniil Dubov is punishing now this move. We have now really an immortal forced checkmate sequence here. First of all, queen to f3, you have to step back here to b5. Now bishop to c4, amazing tactical shot. If you don't react, if you play for instance king to c4 here, then queen to c6 is leading into a checkmate. You can cover of course with bishop to c5, but now the rook is coming into the game. We deliver a new check, now a new check, and after a couple more moves the game is over here for black. So after move bishop to c4, you have to play now king to a5, but now the queen comes again in a beautiful way into the game. We have bishop to c5. Rasmus Svane is again trying to lock the 5th rank, but now an amazing idea here by the Dubov, b4. After king to a4, now comes an amazing move again here by Daniil Dubov. Everything is forced that Dubov is here doing here. Queen to c6 and now queen to c2 are important threats. If you play of course queen to c6 immediately, I'm telling you this because it's very important for this tactical sequence, then maybe black can get out, because after king to a3 you can maybe try to prepare an annoying check, but now we will take out the pawn with the king. Memorize this one. We are taking the pawn with the king, not with the bishop. When the bishop is there on b4, then it takes out an important escape square for the king. So this will be very important, because after queen to g2, not queen to c6 immediately that Dubov played. Now after move bishop to b4, it's a different story. Now the bishop has taken the square that we have seen previously that could maybe be useful for black's escape route. Now Daniil Dubov is delivering a check on c6. Now after king to a3, bishop to b3, look at this. You don't have of course now the b4 square that you had previously. There is now the checkmate threat on a4. If you play something like king to b3, then you get checkmated in this way, queen to c2, queen to a2. So that's why after move bishop to b3, here Rasmus Svane tried a different idea, but now again the same pattern, queen to c2 and queen to a2. An amazing stunning checkmate here by Daniil Dubov, which makes of course really this attack really one of the most incredible and immortal attack here by the legendary Daniil Dubov. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. This was really epic, this was really brutal, but you see, chess is a game of mistakes. Many mistakes have been also played by Daniil Dubov, many game mistakes have been played also by Rasmus Svane. But keeping the pressure is sometimes also a psychological aspect of the game. When you are on the attacking side, you can expect that your opponent is making many defensive blunders. Now you saw how hard it is really to find this epic, really wild tactical sequence. You have to be really a stockfish engine in order to defend this kind of position. So in my opinion, it's still a beautiful game, an amazing attack here by Daniil Dubov. So okay, if you want to see more attacking games like this, check out our best chess games of all time series, and also our commented chess games played by computers, in which we have analyzed also even more brutal games played by top engines. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.